Welcome back to another video on US Vaquero, and today we have a special episode where we'll be going over home defense ammo and what to get right now, maybe in a pinch because of the pandemic or other reasons like the elections and so on and so forth. So now with the ammo shortage, it's extremely hard to get defensive shells. So, you've heard a lot of talk, and some people recommend game and target loads. And these can be found fairly cheap. We're talking $5 to $6 a box of 25, $20 a box of 100. And excuse me. These are fairly simple. That's what a 20 gauge game and target load looks like. And for the Federal, see if I can get it without breaking the box. It looks like that. Now, these are known as low brass shells. And the reason that is, show you guys, well, probably be easier if I open up this box, since it's already a bit open. Now, you hear a lot of talk about high brass and low brass, and there's the difference. If you just see the metal portion, so the part my finger doesn't cover, the birdshot or game and target loads, and this is buckshot, a defensive load. The defensive load has quite more metal on it, presumably to hold quite a significant amount more pressure. So now the talk you hear is that this could be a good defensive load, and I'm completely against that. I don't believe target loads or field loads are useful and even like a basic home defense, because the wad is more dangerous than the shot itself. The shot barely goes into what would you call a piece of plywood, a 2.5 inch piece of plywood at maybe 25 yards. The pellets kind of just get embedded in there. They don't really pull through to the other side most times. Sometimes they do, but I'm pretty sure that's just from repeated shooting. And, it could be that they go through, but the pellets aren't big enough. It's not something you can hunt deer with, and they're limited. Birdshot is limited, so I highly don't recommend that, even though it is widely available. You could use it as a last resort. That's kind of all I recommend it for. Turkey loads might be a little bit better, especially if you have like the Turkey edition Remington 870 or Mossberg. I believe there's a 930. That's a Turkey edition. And Benelli has their Performance Shop Turkey shotgun, which is also really nice, or the nicest out of the ones I've mentioned so far. Those have like a 24-inch barrel, and I think shooting turkey loads in a home defense is definitely better than birdshot. Not by it's not as good as the other rounds we'll speak about, but it's all right. It'll be better than birdshot, and that's because the string is a more concentrated string of pellets. It's a really long string of bigger pellets would hit your target with turkey shot than birdshot. However, we are about to move on to the rest of this, and I don't know if I should start with. Well, let's start with the Winchester 12 gauge, 2 3/4, 1 ounce, 1600 FPS velocity. This is what you can normally find at Walmart. I saw a pack of these recently. I didn't pick it up. I ended up picking up some 20 gauge for a buddy of mine who could use it a bit more out of his 20 gauge. I think it would have been a better, he had a semi-automatic 20 gauge. I think it would have been a better backup firearm than the 22s and the other 12 gauge shotguns he had around, because slugs will hit definitely harder. So these turn a semi-automatic shotgun pretty much into a short-range semi-automatic rifle, which is pretty nice. There are other options. I do believe the Remington sluggers are of higher quality. This first box right here is about $12, $13 for 15. It's not bad. These are about $5 to $6 for 5, so about $1 a round. They're advertised as slower, but they feel just as strong. They're advertised as a 1 ounce, 15, 60 FPS slug. They don't feel any slower than the Winchester. On a chronograph, I'm kind of willing to take a small bet that it's probably closer than on paper right now, or on the box itself. The Remington high velocities are also a good option. These aren't a full ounce, which is how they achieve the 1800 FPS. They're 7/8 of an ounce, going 1800 feet per second. Now there's another option. If you have a shotgun that chambers magnums or super magnums, you also can go that route and get a much bigger slug going extremely faster. So an example of that would be this right here. This is about the same price as this first box, so about $12 for 15. Except these are going a lot faster, so they are 1 ounce, and they're going 1760, so 1760 FPS. And even if it's over advertised a little bit over the slugger high velocity, that's still pretty impressive for a 1 ounce slug. And considering you can get them for the same price, you can get a lot more bang, I guess, for your buck, and a lot more shoulder pain too. That won't be as nice. But my favorite slugs to get in bulk are probably these. These are the Herters 20 gauge. This was $8 for 10, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's 10. $8 for 10. And it's a pretty good deal. It's pretty solid ammo. You could possibly do better for 20 gauge, but I haven't found anything better for that price. The slugs of my choice are the Federal Premium True Ball high-powered rifle slugs. These do have a lot of recoil, but they hit like a Mack truck. They hit insanely hard. And it's like they have 3 projectiles, because they have, they have the little ball behind the slug that stabilizes the slug and between the slug and the wad, and then they have the wad, which is a normal wad, as you can see depicted in this picture. It's not a normal wad, it's kind of a cylinder, a plastic cylinder that is also shot out of the barrel at an extremely high velocity and does a pretty nice amount of damage. The first time I shot a 2x4 with one of these, it was kind of hard to tell which one was the slug, because there was 3 entry holes that were impressive, and 2 of them were more impressive than the third, but even the third wasn't something you'd want to get hit with. So this was kind of buckshot at close range, or 3 3 projectile buckshot at short range and 1 long, or at medium, maybe 50 yards, 100. The ammo that I've been able to find recently is the PowerShock. This is a bit more expensive, or maybe the same price. I don't know if it's because of of recent times, but this used to be $8 for 5 rounds, but I would get it for $5 normally at Dick's Sporting Goods. Now this at a local gun shop called Bear Arms up in Ilion, New York. I was able to get this for $8 for 5. It doesn't seem like the best deal, but given that they're pretty much everything that's out there, I'm willing to give them a shot. So I have a higher variety of ammunition to shoot through my shotguns, even in times of need. Now, moving on to buckshot. Buckshot's a little bit more interesting for home defense because it has the nice spread, and you can control the spread with the length of the barrel, which you decide to purchase. Now I'm gonna go straight up from the beginning and tell you that the Herders is my favorite buckshot, but for different reasons. This was actually cheaper than the 20 gauge rifled slugs and all the slugs I showed you guys are rifled slugs. Sorry to not mention that at the beginning of the video, but I don't have a rifled shotgun. All the slugs that I shoot are out of a smooth bore, so they are rifled slugs. Now, on to the buckshot. For the buckshot, my favorite buckshot is Herders double-aught buck. It advertises that it shoots them at 13.25. I don't think it shoots them that fast because I don't feel the shoulder pain, but it might. And it might just be that I don't see it or perceive it, but it's really reliable and it does hit pretty hard. It is a pretty nice buckshot. This was $5 for 10, so 50 cents a round. It was definitely even cheaper than this. But this was pre-pandemic, and this was pre-pandemic. Herders buckshot was my bulk buckshot of choice. Now, during the pandemic, it has been easier to find. I was able to find, this is kind of more expensive, and it's not the federal premium again, but for $7, I was able, the sticker's still on it, for $7 I was able to find 16 gauge, 2 3/4, 12 pellet, $1 buck. Sorry about the speech impediment today. But it's 12 pellets, $1, muzzle velocity of 12.25. Not bad, not quite the power from a 12 gauge, but I do like 16 gauge. But it is on the pricier side, and that could have something to do with the fact that it's 16 gauge more than anything else. And I don't have any other 16 gauge double-aught buck to compare this to, but I can say that just as the 12 gauge slugs, I did find this recently at the same shop, and they are ammo that has been available recently. Now the next two buckshot, I've been able to find at Walmart pretty recently, and they're both federal premium. One's copper plated, is pretty much the only difference I can tell. They're these two. Everything else seems to be the same. They're 2 3/4, 20 pellets, number $3, muzzle velocity 11.75. I don't know if there's any advantages over hitting somebody with copper plated pellet, but I doubt there's a disadvantage, if you know what I'm saying. So, I haven't really, well, no, that's actually not quite true. I did shoot these in early October, and they worked pretty good. I haven't shot these just because I only got 2 boxes of them, but I figured I would show you guys. These were like $8 for a box of 5, but it is 20 gauge, and 20 gauge I do believe tends to be a little bit more expensive than 12, even before the pandemic, and I think that's just because of ammo availability and the 12 gauge being more popular. Now, my 12 gauge buckshot of choice is the Allen Corporation military grade double-aught buck. It'll say military grade on the side, and pretty much looks like a pretty basic carton. And you see these at your Dick's Sporting Goods and your run-ins. We have run-ins in upstate New York. Don't know what you guys have near where you might be, but this is actually the high brass shell that I showed you guys earlier. It's a mean looking shell in a dark green. These kick like a motherfucker. They don't have an advertised velocity on the package at all, and I've read online that it's something like 1300 or 1350, but it feels like quite a bit more than that, because they do kick a bit more than this, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but they also look like, I don't know if it's just because my shoulder's in pain and I want to convince myself that I'm shooting a more powerful round, but they feel more powerful, and they look like damage downrange looks more powerful. So this is my go-to double-aught buck or buckshot of choice for home defense. I haven't seen this much after like the first 3 months of the pandemic, or 2 months of the pandemic kind of vanished off of store shelves. The last ammo for home defense might be the best one. It's probably the best one for people, but it can be argued that a slug would probably do a lot more damage to an armored individual. But who knows? I think these will get the job pretty well done. These are the Winchester Defenders. They have a 1 ounce slug. They're going 1,150 FPS. They're 2 3/4, and they're not bad. They're also Winchester's Black Box or Winchester's Elite. They have a bunch of different names for Winchester's higher grade of ammunition, and it tends to be a lot better than something that comes in more pale box. But I would definitely get these over a lot of these. The problem with these is that they're $13 for a box of 10, so they're definitely one of the most expensive, or just one of the most expensive ammunition. This is pre-pandemic prices on the table. So even with its pre-pandemic pricing that I got it at, it's still one of the most expensive ammunitions on the table, even rivaling this, which was $7-8 for a box of 5. Yeah, $7 to $8. Sorry, that was correct, for a box of 5, compared to this, which is right around the exact same price point as that. So you are paying more, but you are getting a more versatile round. You are getting 1 slug followed by 3 pellets of double-aught buck, and it's pretty nice. You're not getting the highest velocity, but hitting anything at 1,000 FPS with a double-aught buck close range as in a home defense situation, highly recommended. But anyways, one more thing. Almost ended the video a little bit too early on time. Everybody should have one of these shotgun belts. They pretty much go the way I like to wear them. It's pretty simple, but you can load your shotgun. It'll be pretty easy. I highly recommend everybody who does run a shotgun or decides to run a shotgun for home defense, not necessarily home defense, but a shit hit the fan, or no rule of law, one of those, a shotgun belt is phenomenal for loading on the go. But anyway, guys, now the video is about to come to an end. You guys have a nice day. Comment, rate, subscribe. See you guys on the next one.